This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Over 2 million men worldwide choose Manscaped for all their below-the-waist needs. For those that love the Lawnmower 3.0, well, I got news for you. The Manscaped engineering team has confirmed that they have successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The new trimmer even allows you to customize your trim all through additional guards lengths, sizes 1 through 4. And looks-wise, it's sleek with a two-tone matte and gloss finish, even features a hot foil stamp, black chrome Manscaped logo. Show your mower off loud and proud. Go to manscaped.com, use the promo code State of Saints, and you will save 20% off of the Lawnmower 4.0 as well as other Manscaped items. That's manscaped.com. Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Before I get started, I ask that everybody that is following in right now to please hit that thumbs up. Let everyone know that you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast and all of its content. I also want to give a special shout out to Mike Detillier, who was on the State of the Saints podcast on yesterday. I had an interview with Mike. He's been on the show quite a few times. I'm pretty sure a lot of you know who Mike Detillier is, NFL and college football analyst. And, he is one of my favorite people to talk to in the world, man. I really did enjoy that conversation. And honestly, I actually had to edit it because it was actually longer than the one that I put out. And we probably talked about 30 minutes before it even started, man, which was most exciting, man. So, man, shouts out to Mike Detillier, always good with his time, and, I appreciate that. But let's go ahead and talk about the topic of the day or the night whenever you're checking out this podcast. We're going to be talking about the Saints wide receiver issue and why is it so hard for the New Orleans Saints to sign or try to acquire a number 2 receiver. You probably know already, and some of you may not. The Saints, they were in negotiations with former Green Bay Packer wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and they were close. They were close to getting him on a 2-year deal, but the Kansas City Chiefs end up swooping in, giving him a 3-year deal with a little bit more money, and he decided to go to Kansas City. We've heard on other occasions where the Saints been trying to look at other wide receivers, but it just has not panned out. The Saints, in my humble opinion, are some of the worst negotiators I have ever seen in my entire life. The Saints organization, they are good when it comes to finances, trying to get the money low, but they are terrible at trying to negotiate. I mean, it is terrible, and I'm not even talking about this year. If you think about some of the top quality free agents that the Saints had opportunities to have meetings with and talk to over the years, they have yet to close the deal. And I can completely understand, right? Back in the days, I can understand you don't want to exhaust yourself. You don't want to give up too much for somebody. But all that goes out of the window when you try to move heaven and earth to try to acquire Deshaun Watson. And, the New Orleans Saints no longer can rest on that, Mickey Loomis saying like, oh, you want to bring guys in, but you don't want to set yourself back. The Saints were willing to set themselves back for a guy like Deshaun Watson, giving up 2 and 3 first-round picks. So it's hard for me to be sympathetic or even understand that you can't go out here and try to do better when it comes to the negotiation. Now, some people would probably say, well, look at the Saints organization, look at the quarterback situation. The fact that Jameis Winston is coming off an ACL injury, and the fact that Jameis Winston is trying to prove that he can be a quality starter could kind of turn some people away. And when you think about Valdez Scanlon, I mean, look, no disrespect to Jameis. If you had a choice of Patrick Mahomes throwing you the football or Jameis throwing the football, which one you going to go to? 9 times out of 10, you're going to go to Patrick Mahomes, the guy that been to the Super Bowl twice and has been an MVP of the league. So I'm not mad at him for that. My issue is, why is it that these guys aren't being aggressive enough to try to get quality receivers up in this thing? Like, you think about Robert Woods going to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, that was like a fifth round pick for Robert Woods. So you're telling me that you couldn't give up a fifth round pick for Robert Woods? Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me, man. And you think about some of these other guys that are out here right now, and they're signing with other teams, and it just seems like the New Orleans Saints are just sitting on their hands. And as a fan, it is extremely frustrating when you watch and see all of these other teams that are trying to aggressively acquire guys to try to make themselves better. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints acting as if they just won multiple Super Bowls or something. And I get it, right? New head coach, right? Dennis Allen, unproven. Last time he had a head coaching job, he had more losses than wins. And, you got somebody like Mickey Loomis that's still just trying to figure it out, with life outside of Sean Payton. But at the same time, you have got to be more aggressive than this. This is ridiculous right now. And you watch all of these receivers going to these other teams. Why not? Okay, the Saints have been the epitome of offensive innovation. Now, you can say that Sean Payton isn't there. He's the signal caller, and he was the one that was calling the plays, rather. But you still have his disciple and Pete Carmichael that's still here, a guy that when he was calling plays, the Saints averaged over 400 yards of total offense. I just want to see the New Orleans Saints get some wide receivers in here. And I ain't talking about Traquan Smith. Look, I heard they were talking about signing Traquan Smith, or during the making of this podcast, they probably already signed him. But Traquan Smith is not the answer. Traquan Smith is not going to give you any type of production that is going to for you to write home about. I mean, dude is average at best. He stay hurt. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous, man, that you still have some guys out here like a Jarvis Landry, like a D.D. Westbrook, guys that can come in and give you quality production right now. And for some apparent reason, the Saints act as if they still got Colston, Moore, and Meacham on the team or something. I don't know what's going on here, but I just want them to be a little bit more aggressive, and I want them to stop being so damn cheap. Like, really, man, like, you have all that money. You're third in the league when it comes to cap space right now? I mean, come on, man, give me a freaking break. Like, get that same energy that you was doing with Deshaun Watson to your wide receiver position, because this has been an ongoing situation for the last 3 to 4 years. It has been, man. Who is going to be the number 2 receiver? Who is going to be the guy that complements Michael Thomas? You seen Michael Thomas go out for nearly 2 years, and look at the wide receiver group. A bunch of guys, a group of a cast of characters, okay? Background noise, extras in a movie or a television show. That's what you got right here. You got extras trying to act like they main characters. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying this at all, okay? If you're watching a movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, and then towards the end of the movie, you notice Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't here, but it's just some other guy with blonde hair that tries to look just like him. You're going to be like, man, I'm getting bamboozled. I'm getting hoodwinked here. That's not Leo. I mean, you look at some of these wide receivers out here, man, they not certified. They're good. I wish them well. They're nice guys. But at the end of the day, they're not what we want them to be. And if you expect Jameis Winston to go out there and give your team opportunity to make the playoffs as a starting quarterback, how about putting some weapons around him? How about putting some guys around him that can move the chains? How about, hell, some guys that can actually catch the football, guys that can get off the line of scrimmage, and not a bunch of nice guys, not a bunch of puppet dogs, but some actual dogs, some guys that's going to go out there and compete and have that mind frame like a number 1 receiver. Because I am sick and tired of watching this, man. I don't want to see this anymore. I don't want to see this mediocrity at the wide receiver position anymore. Okay? I mean, look, all teams have their number 1 receiver. All of them do. They all have their number 1 receiver. But damn, I mean, for every Tyreek Hill when he was with Kansas City, they had a Nico Hardman, right? They had a Travis Kelce. They had a Sammy Watkins. They had some other guys that can get open and make some plays. With the Saints, man, is Michael Thomas a bust? And it's been like that for a minute. And if you expect Jameis Winston to really go out there and perform at the highest level, how about getting some complimentary receivers around him? Now, there's still the NFL draft, but we all know the Saints are going to do what Saints do, right? They're going to try to go after the offensive line position. I'm not buying that I heard Mickey Loomis or Jeff Ireland and Dennis Allen was in Ohio for Ohio State Pro Day with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. I ain't buying none of that, okay? Because we all know the Saints, they are accustomed to doing the complete opposite of what we as fans and we as reporters and people of the media expect them to do. I don't know why they do it that way, but that's just the way they roll. All I'm saying is that it's time. It is time to find a number 2 receiver, a guy that is going to give you some production and give you something that you've been missing for quite some time, and that is an actual playmaker outside of Michael Thomas. But I'm about to go ahead and go to the comments. Appreciate you all for stopping by. Appreciate that. Much love to everybody in the chat. I'm going to stroll up a little bit, and we're going to start with we'll start with Lord Nixon. He says, can we trade for Devontae Parker? That would be a good one. I mean, you just got Tyreek Hill. He became the highest paid wide receiver in the league. I mean, you still got Jalen Waddle on the team. You got Mike Gesicki. I mean, you got Edmonds, at the running back position who can also catch out of the backfield. So, I mean, Devontae Parker could be that odd man out. I mean, I would love to see Devontae Parker in a Saints uniform. Would be interesting because of that whole Twitter war between he and Michael Thomas a couple of years ago. It'd be interesting to see how these guys would be as teammates. But, I mean, Devontae Parker is one of those unsung guys, never really had a quality quarterback to throw him the football and kind of just been wasting talent out there in Miami. So I would love to see somebody like Devontae Parker in a Saints uniform. I think he would be a quality receiver, even a possible number 1 if Michael Thomas was to go down. I just think that he really didn't have many opportunities to really show what he can do. But that would be a good one. I wouldn't have no problem with Devontae Parker. If they keep on being cheap, they're going to end up with cheap results again. Dana, absolutely right. Look, man, you can't be out here trying to find $1 million talent and only willing to spend $1.75. I mean, for some apparent reason, the Saints think that they're just gonna do it. Look, back in the days when you had Drew Brees as your quarterback, you can go into any house or any of those guys can come into your organization and your facilities and you can pitch Drew Brees and Sean Payton at them. Look, man, we got arguably the greatest quarterback of all time as a signal caller, man. We got one of the greatest offensive masterminds in Sean Payton. Why wouldn't you want to do that, man? These guys can really put your numbers out there. And let's just say, for example, we give you a 2-year deal. Drew Brees throw you the football, you get over 1,000 yards, you can go back out there to free agency and you can name your price, right? That sounds pretty doggone good, right? But no disrespect, you go into the Saints organization, Sean Payton is gone, Dennis Allen is a coach, a guy, once again, had a losing record as a coach, right? Good defensive mind. And then you have Jameis Winston, who is talented in his own right, but, I mean, he is known for being a turnover machine. I mean, so I can't get mad at a guy for not wanting to sign, and the Saints are acting as if it's like those guys are still here. They're not. So you're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. You can't sell offensive innovation anymore. Offensive innovation, step down. You can't sell, like big time numbers because the guy that was producing the big time numbers is no longer there. So they're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive than most because right now, some of y'all probably don't want to hear this, but it's the absolute truth. The New Orleans Saints, when it comes to appeal, are back to where they was when Aaron Brooks and Joe Horn was the quarterback. Seriously. Like that's how it is when it comes to appeal. We can talk about offensive innovation all day, all night. But in the minds of these free agents, Like they don't have anything that's appealing right now. So you're gonna have to go out here and you're gonna have to be aggressive. And the Saints, for some apparent reason, have not been aggressive. No, so maybe they're thinking about building in the draft. Maybe they're thinking about that. Maybe they're thinking about maybe trying to reinvent that 2017 classic class that they had. Maybe they're trying to do that. Maybe they feel like they got the guys that can do it once again. Maybe lightning can strike twice again. I don't know. But from what I'm looking at right now, there is absolutely nothing that the New Orleans Saints are doing that is going to be for the betterment of the future. And I don't know why they're dragging tail around here. Like, you got to be aggressive, man. You got to get you somebody that's going to go out here and make some plays, because right now it ain't cutting it. Right. I felt that too with Robert Woods. Yeah, man. Robert Woods was my top free agent wide receiver, or he wasn't a free agent, but the top receiver I thought the Saints can go after. We stuck in the mud again. Yeah, pretty much. Saints need wide receivers really, really bad. Everybody thinks that I think for the exception of the actual organization. Like I said, man, they're acting as if everybody wants to come here. Like they acting like David Ruffin's still on the marquee. David Ruffin ain't here, man. David Ruffin went solo. Okay. Drew Brees is gone. All right. Sean Payton is gone. Look, I mean, man, y'all know I'm real here. Nobody checking for the New Orleans Saints right now. Now, we may like that, and we like flying under the radar. That's cool, but ain't nobody checking for the New Orleans Saints. Seriously. Nobody expecting the New Orleans Saints to be anything, to do anything besides us as fans. And for some apparent reason, the organization don't feel that way. They don't look at it that way. So I don't know what they're trying to do, but from what I'm looking at, it's not a damn thing. Dion says, I hope y'all ain't out wishing for Julio. He unhealthy and don't score a touchdown for some reason. Look, I'm not hoping for Julio Jones, man. Look, I'm not going to use the word wash when it comes to Julio Jones. I got too much respect for the dude. I just think that the injuries have caught up with him. And look, Father Time is undefeated. All those yards that he put up, all those touchdowns, and all those historical moments that he had put together, in my opinion, he a Hall of Famer. But, I just think that it's about that time, man. I mean, he still can do some things, and depends on the offense. I feel like, he can still go out there and make some plays, but his days of being that number one guy, they're pretty much over, man. It's pretty much over. Those injuries and his age has caught up with him. Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley. In the words of Charlamagne the God, man, I ain't trying to reheat those cold French fries, which is Emmanuel Sanders. He was talented, man. He a good route runner. He still got some speed. But I think that we need to go a little bit younger. Now, Cole Beasley is a guy that I would like. A guy that you can line up in the slot. The only way and the only reason I would say that the New Orleans Saints need to get Cole Beasley if in the first round they're going to acquire a guy like Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson. Okay, because Cole Beasley does not need to be your number two receiver. Okay, Cole Beasley can move the chains. Cole Beasley can eat you up in the slot. Okay, he can channel his inner Wes Welker, Braxton Berrios. You know what I'm saying? Austin Collie. He can do those things, right? He can kill you in the slot, but he is not a number two receiver. So the only reason I would suggest the Saints get a guy like a Cole Beasley is because he's a little bit bigger than Deontay Hardy is, and you're going to draft a guy like Chris Olave to complement Michael Thomas, or you're going to draft a guy like Pickens, out of Georgia, or you're going to draft a guy that's going to be, have the potential of being a solid receiver and a potential number two for the New Orleans Saints. So that would be the only reason. But Emmanuel Sanders, what are you, about 36? I mean, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't want no more loaner phones, okay? Okay, I want a real thing, okay? And for the most part, Emmanuel Sanders, if you were to sign him, you're only going to be signing him for about a year or even two. You know what I'm saying? And probably, his career is starting to kind of wind down a tad bit. So I don't know, man. I'd rather go younger. I mean, I enjoyed Emmanuel Sanders. It was what it was, man. I heard a Taylor Lockett trade room earlier today that would be great if we could pull that one off. Yeah, Clarence, look, if we could pull off a Tyler Lockett trade, that would be awesome. It seems like the Seattle Seahawks are trying to rebuild their team. You know, they went out here and they got Drew Lock. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to draft a quarterback, and they're going to try to build a new team, right, from the ground up. All the guys that were part of that historical Legion of Boom defense, everybody that was a part of that Super Bowl run are no longer there, right? I mean, Russell Wilson, he's in Denver. It looks like Bobby Wagner is probably going to sign with the Rams. So all those guys are gone, and it seems like they're trying to go in a different direction. So maybe Tyler Lockett could be, you know, that guy. Maybe he could. I mean, he's a smart guy, he's talented, really good route runner, aggressive, win those 50-50 balls, and really smart. You know what I'm saying? Really smart when it comes to the game of football. Would love to have him in the Saints uniform. Very underrated receiver, and he's been doing it for a while. Where's the aggressiveness for wide receivers like there was for Watson? You know, I just mentioned that at the beginning of the show, and they're just that go ahead that line, okay. But yeah, I mentioned that at the beginning of the show. I mean, there are so many other teams out there that are aggressively going for it, and the Saints are just sitting on their hands. And I just don't understand that, man. Like, this is the ant and the grasshopper story all over again. And the Saints, they're acting like the grasshopper. Like, they're acting as if they got all day, all night, all afternoon to get this thing done. Meanwhile, you got the ants, the teams like the Dolphins, the team like the Jags, teams like the Rams, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got teams out here that are aggressive trying to go for it, like teams like the Broncos. Like, they are the worker ants right now, and the Saints are sitting in the shade because they think that spring and summer is just going to be here forever. You have to go ahead and go for it, just like those teams do. Do you believe that you can win a championship? Do you feel as if you got a championship team? I mean, that's all fine and dandy. We want that type of energy. But if you're an honest fan, not those delusional ones, you'll have to say, hell no. They don't have they don't have a snowball chance in hell based on, well, I won't say they got a snowball chance in hell, but it's least likely that they'll make a championship with the team that they got right now. Based on the wide receivers, the offense, where we look at when it comes to Alvin Kamara possibly being suspended, Michael Thomas just being your key receiver, and a bunch of guys that are undrafted free agent, unproven, not ready, and you know what I'm saying, don't really seize the moment the way that we expect wide receivers to do. So to me, if you think that this is going to get it done, I don't know what to tell you. We'll spend the whole free agency period getting day after reports about how the Saints was in the mix of trying to get X player. That's the thing. You sitting there on your hands, or you lowballing people. Like, seriously, I don't like Jameis Winston would not be with the New Orleans Saints if he didn't want to be. Like, some people like, man, they had no market for him. Man, they would have found a place. He would have found a place for James. Seriously, the Colts probably would have went with him. Pittsburgh Steelers could have picked him up. There was a place for him. I don't know why people just feel like this dude was just so hopeless and so pathetic as a quarterback that he had to, you know what I'm saying, crawl back to the New Orleans Saints because nobody wanted him out there. Seriously, if Mitchell Trubisky can get a second chance, why not Jameis Winston? And we know that Jameis Winston is more talented, has better arm strength, and better intangibles than that of a Mitchell Trubisky. So if Trubisky can get another chance, why not Jameis Winston? So all those people out there that feel as if Jameis didn't have a chance in free agency, knock it off. But he will not be here. You know, if he didn't want to be here, you know what I'm saying? The Saints are lucky this dude wanted to be here, because the Saints, to me, seem like they like to lowball guys. It seemed like to me like they tried to put guys in a box like, this is where your market is. And you got other teams that are willing to give these guys top dollar. And they're not worried about, oh, this might not pan out. Look, the guy has this level of production based on these analytics. Let's put him in here. If it doesn't work out, then it is what it is, man. But at least we tried to go for it. I mean, the Saints, like, if you really think that you're a championship contender, if you really think you're a playoff team, If you really think that you're the creme de la creme, why are you not going for it? Why are you sitting out like that? There's no way in the world that you would have this type of energy if Drew Brees was the quarterback. There would be no way that you'll have this type of energy if Sean Payton was still a head coach. No way. I don't believe that. So why is it that you have this energy now when you need that sense of urgency even more? Because all these years of, man, we'll make it work, you don't have that guy anymore. Okay, you can go out here and get a project, you know what I'm saying, and see if a guy like Emmanuel Butler can work out, or a guy like Lil Jordan Humphries can work out, or Deontay Harris, or Marquez Callaway. You can do all that with Drew Brees, because Drew Brees going to stay out to practice, tell these boys what they do wrong, put them in places to succeed. Hey, I seen this. You know what I'm saying? Like, move over here, move a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, man. Move back this way, move over here. You don't have that no more, man. So why are you acting like you do? You don't. You have a quarterback right now, to me, has all the talent in the world, but he needs quality receivers in order for him to do a job effectively. I mean, it's a fact. Exactly, TJ. Saints want to shop at dollar stores, but want dealer results. Loomis needs to tighten up. Man, all I'm saying, and I don't know who just mentioned this, but I just want to know, where is that energy? Where the hell is the energy that they had for Deshaun Watson? Where that energy at and going into trying to find free agent wide receivers? Where is that? Where is it? I wouldn't mind having Julio Jones on the team for this year. Watch him torch his former team twice a year. Oh, must be Bortles and Book then. Oh, yeah, we talking about backups? Yeah. Saints think because they got AK and Mike T, they good. They are delusional. That ain't enough. That ain't enough, man. Saints setting of season to rely on defense again, going to burn them out. I just hope we can pull off a Tyler Lockett. Facts. I don't see Super Bowl, but I believe we can make the playoffs. That's the thing, Sincere. Like, why are you not seeing Super Bowl? Why are you not seeing it? It's because they're not doing anything. Like, man, anybody can make the playoffs now. Like, seriously, you got 7 spots in the playoffs, right? So, I mean, they added an extra spot. So even a team that really, truly does not belong in there gonna find their way into the playoffs. So the playoffs, to me, it's not like how it was a couple of years ago when you had 6 spots and you were jockeying for position. Like, you can be middle of the pack, win one, lose one, and still make the playoffs. Seriously. So that doesn't mean anything to me. All I'm saying is, what are you doing in order to make your playoff chances Super Bowl chance? Nothing. Not a damn thing. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Zilch. I mean, not as far as I can see. I thought Jameis was going to Pittsburgh too. Priest TJ, coach sent the Jet to scoop up Jameis. Yeah, and he ended up signing with the Saints. Soup line Saints. We are finding another starter receiver in the draft. It's not that type of draft for wide receivers this year. Actually, it is that type of draft for wide receivers. It's a really deep draft for wide receivers. You know, they got some really quality ones out there. But look, I get it. That's a good place to start. But it'll take some time for a young guy to come in and kind of just get accustomed. Or, they could be Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. We don't know. But all I'm saying is, I'm not counting on a rookie to come in and save the day. Okay, I want a veteran receiver in there too to help that other young wide receiver be able to make that transition. It's kind of tough for a young guy to come in a Saints offense. I'm talking about based on the Saints offense and how they run and all these different personnel packages they have. It's hard for a young wide receiver to come in and just go out there and just make a whole bunch of noise. I mean, it takes some time. And they'll probably develop, you know what I'm saying, like over like week 4, week 5. But what's going to happen for those first couple of weeks when the Saints really just need those guys to step up? Like, you think about guys like Kamara, right? People like Alvin Kamara, man, yeah, he was offensive rookie of the year. But if you look at those first 3 or 4 games, he wasn't really being what he was today. It wasn't until I want to say after maybe that Cardinal game or something like that. That's when no, I mean it was the Lions game. Well, that Lions game when it happened. That was like really the first time when we start to see flashes of man, this dude can be something special. But it took a couple weeks. The Saints need a veteran receiver to come in to complement Michael Thomas and allow that wide receiver to develop and kind of grasp the offensive schemes in order for him to develop to be what we need him to be. So just because you go and draft yourself a wide receiver, I don't think that's the answer. I don't, man, because it's not just one wide receiver that's the issue here. It's not. It's not, man. It's not just, oh, we need a number 2, but the number 3 cool. Like, nah, bro. Like, I like Callaway, but people say he a number 3. I mean, I think he can be a number 3, but I'm not just sold on him to a point where I feel like somebody else can't come in and take his spot. Seriously. If you get yourself Michael Thomas, a veteran receiver, and a rookie, that's your 1, 2, and 3 right there, and everybody else get in where they fit in. I mean, it's time out for like, well wishes and he got spunk and he got heart and he tough and man, look, man, that's all fine and dandy, but are you winning games? I mean, are you making plays, right? I mean, if you're not doing that, find somebody else. I think OBJ and Landry are both coming back to Cleveland. All we have to do is move Baker's contract to another team to make money for them. Well, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., that would be a good 1-2 punch. The fact that they will actually go back to Cleveland. I mean, the way that I feel about it, why go back to Cleveland after Cleveland showed you that they don't want you, right? I mean, Jarvis Landry, they could have, re-up with him. They didn't. Odell, they traded him. Well, they were going to trade him, but, and then he cleared waivers and they cut him. So why would you want to go back? Why would you want to go back to that situation? Because they got Deshaun Watson? Well, Deshaun Watson is a part of of a terrible organization, terribly ran, by the way. So why would you want to go to an organization that treated you like that? That's like, I don't understand about like when Brady retired, you had Bucks fans talking about they're gonna bring Jameis back. Like, why in the hell would he want to come back to y'all? Seriously, y'all had what, 3-4 years, 5? You know what I'm saying, for him to be your quarterback. But as soon as somebody else came in, y'all just tossed him out of the door. But now that guy's gone, now you want him back? Like, no, man, it don't work like that. I wouldn't want to go back. And I understand the business aspect, but look, if you telling me that I'm not good enough to play for your organization, or I'm not worth the price of admission, well, let me go find a team that feels that way. TJ, our problems aren't just wide receiver, man. We in trouble at running back. Alvin is gone for 8 weeks of the year. The draft is fine, but a Justin Jefferson is very, very rare. Seems Dennis Allen is petty too. Just saying. DA, I say, look, we need a running back, but there's no other position we need more importantly than a wide receiver position. Like, we can talk about running back, but let's not act like Mark Ingram can't still run the football. Let's not act as if you put somebody else up in there that's a quality running back that can back him up until Alvin Kamara comes back, that they can't be serviceable. I mean, I don't look. We get into this mind frame like, a guy gets on the other side of 30, all of a sudden he can't run a football no more. And yes, he did have some injuries, this past year, but most of the time Mark Ingram was reliable. I remember a couple games where we actually, like, you think about that Tennessee game that he had, the game when he first came back against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you get yourself another guy that can go alongside of him, you can be serviceable until Alvin Kamara gets back. And if you don't feel that way, well, you can always draft yourself a running back. I mean, there are running backs that are going to be there late because we know that the NFL looks at running backs as an expendable position. They don't look at it like it's well touted, like back in the days when, guys like Emmitt Smith was running and Barry Sanders was running. Like, guys really wanted a running back. Now they feel like they can get a good quality running back in the 3rd and the 4th round. So it's not like the Saints can't get a running back, and it's not like they can't find somebody that can do some of the things that Alvin Kamara could do, like catching the ball out of backfield, running between the tackles. They'll be available. But I got a lot of faith in Mark Ingram. I think Mark Ingram is a solid running back. I just think that if you add somebody alongside him, maybe bring one of those young guys in, that you had on the practice squad, or go alongside them with a rookie, they should be able to do it. If not, then shame on them. I'm afraid Michael Thomas will get mad because he will not have enough help and will want to be traded. Well, only time will tell, Linda. And honestly, I think we're looking at Michael Thomas completely differently than we should. I'm going to say that again. We're looking at Michael Thomas completely different than we should. See, Michael Thomas a couple years ago could feel this way. But Michael Thomas today, to me, kind of loses leverage. I mean, that may sound crazy, but it's true. He hasn't played in 2 years. Now, we can say the last time he played, he was Offensive Player of the Year, but that seemed like ancient history. This is a guy who missed nearly 2 years with an ankle injury. I mean, the league has went on. And we had conversations in the past about him being a top 10, top 3, top 5 receiver. But look, man, right now you have guys like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. Like you got those guys. And then you have a Cooper Kupp, guys that that you can think about before you even think about Michael Thomas. And it's all because Michael Thomas hasn't been here. So Michael Thomas, to me, has something to prove. Michael Thomas has to go out there and produce. So what he did in the Saints uniform a couple of years ago, once again, seems like ancient history. Right now, nobody's checking for Michael Thomas as being one of the top receivers in the league because nobody has seen him in a while. And there's so many unanswered questions, right? Michael Thomas trade value may not be as high as it did when he felt like he was healthy, because now it's like, well, how is that ankle? How is he going to be able to perform? Michael Thomas has to go out there and perform. Then we can have these conversations about how he feels about being traded or how he feels about not, having help around him. He has to go out there and do his job and remind individuals that he is a top receiver. Because right now, he's just one of those guys. You're right, TJ. A rookie receiver isn't coming in and take us to the next level. Yeah, it ain't happening. Many are called, but few are chosen. Kingston, Bishop Bowinkle. I think Jarvis would be a great pickup. Yeah, me too. Free agency is not over yet. Now, I mean, it's not over, but Mocha, I mean, I'm just not liking what I'm seeing, man. And I get it. Like the Saints, they do a really good job. They always seem to find those free agents, late third, fourth week into it. I get all that, right? They wait for the market to die down a little bit. Guys start to get a little desperate. Ain't nobody making no phone calls. Then all of a sudden, here they come ringing the phone trying to lowball folk. I mean, we know the game, but bruh, like all that stuff was fine and dandy at when you had guys that can disguise some of these guys' imperfections and some of these guys' limitations, but you don't have that luxury anymore. You don't. So you have to act as if you don't have that luxury anymore. They're acting like they still have it, and they don't. They're going to screw up the first pick, knowing the Saints. They'll draft something stupid with the first pick, then trade picks to move up and get something else done. Well, I hope not, man. Right now, the positions that you're looking at got to be left tackle and wide receiver. I think that you can find a guy, like in the second round that's a quality offensive lineman. The Saints may need to think about moving, just like Mike Detillier said, maybe moving Ryan Ramczyk to the left side, maybe moving, some pieces around in order for the offensive line to be a little bit better. You can get a guy like, what's his name, Abraham Lucas, the guy from Washington State, who probably going to be a second round pick, good, solid guy, really good at pass protection, needs to work a little bit more on his run blocking. Probably just needs to, add a little bit more weight, a little bit more strength to him. But, I mean, you have guys like, James Hurst that can play until a guy like Lucas develops. So, I mean, that's the way I would go. but you need a wide receiver in the first round. But of course, we all know that. So, like you said, the Saints might end up getting something else. Get Landry, draft Olave or Wilson in the first, then get Mechie or Bell in the third. Um, Look, I just think if you get a guy like Landry and then you get a guy like Chris Olave, that should be fine. All right. Because if you re-sign Traquan Smith, I mean that, man, we can talk about him, but I mean he can be a little productive. And then you have Callaway, who can come in, and make some plays as well. So I just think that they need a guy free agency, and then you need yourself a rookie, a guy that can be there for a couple of years, guy that can be there longer, right? He plays on that, what I'm saying, get that fifth year option. So you get at least about 5 years of production out of him if he's good enough. This year off season has been so wild. Who knows? There could be another Tyreek Hill kind of trade. Yeah, this has been crazy, man. I mean, this has been exciting. This has been the most exciting free agency I have ever seen, right? I mean, I ain't never seen these many top quality players move like this. Like I've never seen this before. You'll see like one or two, but I mean, Madden is gonna look like how you play on fantasy mode. You draft a certain team and all that kind of stuff. That's how it's gonna look. But it's amazing, man. But it shows you that these players are really starting to take their destiny into their own hands. They're starting to implement, or those no trade clauses, and those no trade clauses are coming with some type of stipulation, right? What I'm saying? So there's some conditions behind it. Man, you want me to go? Okay, cool. Okay, these are the teams that I want to go to. Make deals with them, right? Or they come to you and be like, look, we got 3 deals. This team, and this team. What team do you feel like would be a good for you? So now these guys can kind of go out there. They can be a little bit more aggressive, but not at the pity and at the at the mercy of these owners of these franchises. And I like it. I really do, man. I like it because for so long you had the ownership from these franchise coaches, basically, man, like putting a stranglehold on these players, man, having them out here. I mean, I know y'all remember like Marcus Allen back in the day. When they want to play him, right? I'm saying, had this man wasting away on a bench, right? And he couldn't do absolutely nothing about it. I mean, he was at the mercy of Al Davis, who was just hell bent on trying to destroy this man's career. You don't have that type of thing going on anymore. At least guys are trying to get away from that, and I like it. I like it a lot. It might hurt us, in the end, because might be one day a top Saints player might want to be traded, right? But I like it for the guys because it gives them a better opportunity to play in areas and in locations that they want to play in, and also make the right money that they feel like they deserve to make. So I got nothing but respect for that. TJ, they were saying the same thing when Mike T was balling. Man, look, I see a Mike T possibly can get traded like comment all the time, man. But I don't think he have anything to worry about. Like I said, man, he has something to prove. He got something to prove, man. It's not like a couple of years ago. Ain't nobody seen or heard from him in 2 years. I mean, I'm gonna put this into perspective. Michael Thomas has scored a touchdown in 2 years, right? I mean, he went the whole entire 2020 season. He didn't score a touchdown, right? He scored in the playoffs. That was his first touchdown. But playoff stats don't count for the regular season. So this man went 2 years without scoring a touchdown. Let's put that into perspective. Complete offense requires a solid wide receiver room. Stop expecting miracles from these ball droppers. Drop after drop last year. Yeah, man. Like I'm over that. I'm over that. We need some consistency. Hill not too shabby at blocking and ball carrier, but all accounts he's a freak athlete. If I was coach, I want him on the field. I will see how he feels about playing outside linebacker. I don't know. I don't. If we talking about Taysom Hill, I would prefer him like maybe being an H-back and maybe doing a little tight end a little bit. Maybe he can go back to that role now that the Saints got Jameis, and they also can have guys that can serve as a backup like Ian Book or Blake Bortles as of right now. So maybe he can go back to being that guy. I mean, at this point, Taysom Hill should just be happy on the field because he's not going to get another opportunity. Seriously, a serious opportunity to be a starting quarterback in the league. I just think that dream is gone, man. No disrespect to him. I would love to see Taysom Hill in his career as a member of the Saints because he's so dynamic and he's a special athlete. But as a quarterback, man, I just think that ship has sailed, okay? I mean, that thing has left the port. It is out in the middle of the ocean right now. All those players he just named was late round picks. The Saints gonna build through the draft. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, you would think they're trying to replicate 2017. Maybe they once again, maybe they feel they can strike. Lightning can strike twice. Yeah, we need to move on from Traquan. The Saints don't think so. Apparently. We could have drafted a lot of receivers, but they always draft some old linemen. Or like last year, some guy named Peyton Turner that didn't even play last year, never heard of him coming out of the draft. And that's crazy, though, because we don't even talk about this dude at all. Like, when we talk about the Saints line, we don't even mention this dude. I mean, no disrespect to the brother, but the dude, like, so irrelevant. Like, nobody even, like he's like a fart in the wind. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, nobody notice it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody knows that it's there, right? It's just there. You know what I'm saying? He is the Judy Winslow of the New Orleans Saints defensive line. And for those that don't know who Judy Winslow is, Judy Winslow was the strong matter Eddie, right? She went upstairs and never came down, and nobody noticed. Nobody knows it at all. Like, nobody noticed that Jamie Foxworth, which was her real name, nobody noticed she went upstairs and never came back. It's just for some apparent reason, the Winslow went from having 3 kids to 2, and nobody asked any questions. The Saints went from having a top number 1 draft pick in Peyton Turner. Well, their number 1 pick, and dude went upstairs and ain't never came down, and nobody noticed. Bishop Bowinkle, thank you very much for the $2. Said, what do you think I say about the wide receiver situation? Well, you wouldn't say hell nah because we need wide receivers, right? You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't say hell no to that. So I'm not sure what you would say. I would hope that you would say we need some wide receivers. If Mike went to another team, then he could get notoriety as one of the best. Well, here's the thing. People were saying that he was one of the best. The last time he actually played and was productive, the NFL Top 100 had him as the number 5 player that was voted on by his peers. So people know how special this dude is. The fact is, he hasn't played in 2 years. Okay, out of sight, out of mind. No matter how good you are, no matter how special you are, no matter what your capabilities are, out of sight, out of mind. Right? I mean, that's just the way that it goes. Make a trade is that simple. Tyler Lockett or Brandon Ayuk. You got a better chance getting Tyler Lockett because Brandon Ayuk, he started off, he struggled a little bit, but then he started to pick up. And I just think that the San Francisco 49ers like him. I think Shanahan had an investment in him. I don't think you'll get a guy like Ayuk. I'll be shocked if he gets moved from the 49ers. The fact that not only we not getting wide receivers, but we not even making a move at the tight end position either is really pathetic. Look, it's rather they like what they see in Nick Barnett, and they like the development of Adam Troutman, and maybe they just feel that way. And also, man, I gotta say, they did address it because they re-signed Juwan Johnson. Look, Juwan Johnson is good. He's talented. Like he has all the tools to be a special tight end. All right, he can catch really well. He just needs to work on his blocking. So maybe going into another season, he's at that weight because he had to gain a little bit of weight. You know what I'm saying? He had to work on his blocking technique. So maybe that extra year, you'll probably see a little bit more production out of him at the tight end position. I like Juwan Johnson. He's a really good red zone threat. Jameis liked him. Like, you think about like the first couple games of the season, Juwan Johnson was getting into the end zone. As a matter of fact, Juwan Johnson scored the very first touchdown for the New Orleans Saints in 2021. So the dude has talent. The dude has ability. He just has to work on his blocking. And hopefully, you know what I'm saying, now he's not worrying about, gaining weight. You know what I'm saying? He had to gain weight, had to focus on blocking and, you know what I'm saying, like different type of packages for the tight end. Now you know your role, right? You know the role that you're in. You got your weight up. Now it's time to go up in here and develop. And I'm pretty sure in the offseason, he's probably doing the things he needs to do to be a quality tight end. So I'm not going to say they didn't address it. Maybe they feel like, they got something there. I think they do. Dude, pretty good. The best ability is availability. Mike T still needs to work his way back. We need a veteran receiver to come in and push Mike T. Well, I've been saying that, Mr. Rob. I said that before. Like, looking at this wide receiver group, last year, if you were sitting at home, you probably got the biggest ego, on this side of the Mississippi. Like, seriously, like watching these guys go out here and struggle in your absence had to make your head blow huge, the size of Texas and Alaska combined, right? So, yes, you do need to get somebody up in there that can compete, somebody that's going to go out there that can make a play, that can go out there that can do some of the things that Michael Thomas can do and push him. I don't think that it's a coincidence that you have a guy like Michael Thomas and then you have a guy like Lattimore. These guys going up against each other in practice every day. Iron sharpens iron. If you have a guy on the opposite side making plays and everybody like, oh, making that noise and saying, oh, what a play. All of a sudden, like, okay, man, let me step my game up too. So iron sharpens iron. It just doesn't have to equate to offense and defense. It needs to be on the same squad, on the same side of the football. So, yeah, they definitely need to work on that. But I want to take the moment. I got to pay these bills. I want to find folks at Manscaped.com, official sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. It says, can I get a round of applause? Today, I'm excited to announce Manscaped launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Believe it or not, it's for your not-so-private parts. I'm talking about a leveled up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scents. This is an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for everyday man and covers you from head to toe. Literally, Manscaped is trusted below the waist now. Trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com, using the promo code State of Saints, all one word, State of Saints, and you will save 20% off. Man, I'm telling you right now, the Ultra Premium Collection, it just came to my house, man. Shouts out to the fine folks at Manscaped. Man, they got the lip balm. They got the spray. They got the deodorant. They got the body wash, man. They got you, man. And it's really good quality products. So go to manscaped.com, use that promo code State of Saints, save that 20%. And let me know what you all think about it, man, for those that tried it. And thank y'all, man, for those that use Manscaped and use that promo code. I appreciate that. TJ, I agree with the whole playoff situation, especially since everyone is going to the AFC. The NFC is wide open. We can get one of those 7 spots, but that's not the bigger picture. We want the Super Bowls. Yeah, Chosen. I mean, look, the quarterback play between the AFC and NFC. AFC is up here, NFC down here, man. You got a handful of guys that can still do it. You got your Aaron Rodgers. You got your Tom Brady's, man. You know what I'm saying? You look at Matt Ryan. He's in the AFC now. I mean, you look at Russell Wilson. He's in the AFC now. I mean, there's not many guys in the NFC that's household names. I mean, what you going to go talk about? Kirk Cousins? You know what I'm saying? You got Matt Stafford out there for the Rams. You know, like, I mean, but it's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Then there's like a huge drop off in the NFC. So that's why, you know, is anybody's guess, right? Chicago. I mean, you got Justin Fields. Anybody sold on him? I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions. You got Kyler Murray. Anybody sold on him? I'm not. I don't care how much money he wants. I'm not sold on him, not yet at least. So it's wide open. But I do want a championship. But if you make your way to the playoffs, anything can happen. You know, get this defense. Hopefully they can play the same way they did last year. I mean, in the absence of Marcus Williams, I don't know what Malcolm Jenkins is going to do based on that contract. I ain't going to lie to you. It sounds like he about to retire. I mean, maybe you can sign somebody like Tyrann Mathieu to come in, and fill that void. Him and Marcus May. But when you have new guys in, that's when you might start seeing busted coverage. Going back to the days where guys like, oh, I thought that was you. Oh, I thought that was you. Oh, I thought that was us. So we'll see. Alfred, thank you very much for the 499. Says all the good teams now have have number 2 receivers. Just having Mike T, they might throw a fit. They might throw a fit and quit on us. This was the best wide receiver free agency, and we bricked. I guess let me kind of paraphrase what you're saying. You're saying Michael Thomas might throw a fit because he ain't got no help. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. I just think I think it's different. Quarterbacks may throw more of a fit if they ain't got no help. A wide receiver, he happy, right? For real, he happy. He excited. He elated. If he know he about to get the majority of these passes, shoot, that make his stats look good. That make his yards look good. And most importantly, down the stretch, it's going to make his pockets look good. So I don't know. I don't know if God just sitting up here, man, I ain't got nobody that can compliment me. I don't know about that, especially if he winning his double coverage, he winning his one-on-one matchups. I don't know, man. I'm serious. I know some people, you know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure ain't nobody. If you ever played football, you played the wide receiver position. Ain't nobody had no problem being the number 1, and you was up here as one of being the top, and then you had a drop off. I don't think anybody had a problem with the ball being thrown their way more times than not. So maybe if they was losing, like if the Saints were losing, and you know what I'm saying, he was out there and putting up these big numbers and nothing, maybe it'll get frustrating. But if they, you know what I'm saying, middle of the road or, winning more than they losing, I don't think you have a problem with that. I wouldn't. Juwan Johnson scored off that risky pass from Winston on the goal line. Winston claimed he was throwing the ball away, but Juwan snagged it out of the air. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but hey, that just comes with the territory sometimes. Sometimes you got to take that risk. Tom Brady was breaking tablets. Yeah, he was. Tom Brady is a dinosaur now. Well, that dinosaur was second in the MVP voting, so I can't call him a dinosaur yet. Chasing after the massage bandit got the Saints behind the 8 ball. Oh man, yeah, brother. Look, if I ain't never been so glad the Saints couldn't acquire somebody in my life. Like look, as far as talent, if this dude would have came to the Saints, would I have been excited? Absolutely. But I'm so glad that he decided to go in another direction because it would have set the Saints back for years. Okay. And I'd rather you get a guy like Jameis and you can build around him, put some weapons around him, put some talent around him, and you can win some games, go to the playoff, possibly get a shot at the Super Bowl versus like losing your number 1 pick this year, next year, and a year after that for one guy. Like, nah, man, that ain't it. That ain't the business right there. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when Aints were rooting for the Rams to punch their ticket. I don't know if you're a fan of some other team, but I mean, it is what it is, man. To me, right? The Saints did what they were supposed to do, and the Rams didn't do what they were supposed to do. But I'm not losing any sleep about it because you shouldn't have to count on no other team to handle your business at the end of the day. Would I have been excited if the Rams would have won that game? Yeah, Saints would have made the playoffs, but look, you got to handle your own business, man, because if you do that, then you don't have to worry about another team winning or losing. Trolls, we root for our Saints no matter what. For real. Sucks fans have nothing better to do than come on another team's YouTube channel. Well, I'm glad that they're here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Thank y'all for helping us get those likes and those views up. I appreciate that. So no problem here. Trolls taken care of by yours truly. I'm rooting for Jalen McCleskey to make the team. Yeah, I mean, I think he called Colin Kaepernick to come out to New Orleans. Shouts out to Colin Kaepernick, came out to New Orleans, man, throwing the football around with Jalen McCleskey. Got some work in. I think he was at Etna Card, man. Shouts out to my guy, the band director, Chalupa. Over there, man. Chalupa. I went to Jackson State with him. That's my guy right there. So shouts out to him, man. Dude got Edna Carr out there looking like Jackson State. I seen him out there for the Mardi Gras parade, man. But Chalupa, some of y'all probably know him, man. If you ever like follow Edna Carr, go to football games to see him, you'll see him out there, man. I mean, he's good dude right there, man. Good, solid dude. And he's doing a really good job with that program. And see, I don't believe nothing Mel Kiper says. Who the hell is Mel Kiper anyway? Here's a guy. He's never been a coach. He's never been a GM. He has no, what he said, he has no other say other than he said, my neighbor, and my neighbor's a man, and he doesn't even have season tickets to the game. I'm like, and man went off on Mel Kiper. Who the hell is Mel Kiper? When Tom Brady, old tail, gets a big hit and goes out on that stretcher, his career would be done, and Young's going to be in a world of hurt. He too dumb to walk away with his help. He want to get stretched out. And if I'm Tom Brady's, like, I only can imagine what his wife feel, man. I know she got to be ticked off. I mean, I'm pretty sure she's excited about him and him following his dream and stuff. But God dog, man, like, I'm pretty sure this lady want him at home to be a dad. And you ain't about to tell me you just giving it your all and your everything you got as a father, being out there like that. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to pay so much attention to details, the team, schemes, all that kind of stuff, man. Like, I don't understand like how you have time in between that. But I'm pretty sure like his kids are young, so they're just excited, man. They get a chance to go into the locker rooms and be on the sidelines and root for him. But man, like, you would think that, you know, at this stage, man, his wife be like, babe, I think you need to come home, and you know, gladly oblige. I mean, what are you actually playing for? Like, what is he actually playing for? Like, you won what, 6 championships, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, what, you won 6 championships, you know, total, right? Or 7, I don't know. I can't remember. He got a lot of them. You got all these championships with New England. You took a snake-bitten franchise, Tampa, to the Super Bowl and won it. I mean, come on, man. Like, what more are you playing for? Let's put an end to this Kenny Pickett stuff. He won't even last to 18. He like a top 10 pick. A team like Seattle, Carolina, or even Detroit will get him. Saints don't need a quarterback at this moment. Well, I still think the Saints going to draft a quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be in the first round, but they're going to draft one. And honestly, look, this is real talk right here. If the Saints draft a quarterback in the first round, Jameis Winston ain't not staying with the Saints. Seriously, they're not going to keep him. If you draft a guy in the first round, okay, for the exception of Aaron Rodgers, okay, but even with that, Aaron Rodgers, when they drafted Jordan Love, he went out there, man, and was an MVP. You know what I'm saying? With league MVP. So he, you know what I'm saying, by drafting him, you know, he had to really step up his game, and he made them look foolish. That was what it would take in order for Jameis to stay with the New Orleans Saints. So if they draft a guy like Kenny Pickett in the first round, I don't see Jameis Winston staying. That would be an indication like he's not going to be here for long, which his contract kind of entails that. You sign a 2-year, $28 million contract, $21 million guaranteed. That's a prove-it deal. That's a prove-it deal right there, folks. I still feel the Saints can go far in the playoffs. They always find a way in somehow. Like I said, having 7 spots in NFL playoffs, any team, you can be trash. Like the Philadelphia Eagles, they had no business in the playoffs. None. They had no business in the playoffs whatsoever. And they got spanked around because they didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. And if they still had 6 spots, they wouldn't have. I think it's time for Mel Kiper to retire. He don't know football. It's clear time going to go home when kids are older. He don't want to raise no babies. Well, his kids kind of up there, man. They old enough to understand. But I just think that at this particular point, people won't say it because it's Tom Brady, but it's selfish. It's the fact that the league goes on, man. Like for real, like no matter how good you are, no matter how great you are, the league goes on. Like it's gonna forget about you. It's gonna move on without you. And I just felt like he seen like nobody was really saying that much about him. People was talking about the other players, other quarterbacks. All of a sudden, like it kind of died down, and I just think that he lusted for the roar of the crowd one more time. Because what do you actually want? Like seriously, what do you actually want? You own almost every statistical record. Everybody would probably concede to say that you're the greatest quarterback of all time. You brought 2 franchises to the Super Bowl. What more do you want? Like besides like the roar of the crowd. Like this, to me, this was a selfish move. This dude has absolutely nothing to play for. Like seriously, Tom Brady can go out there and just throw the ball, like have a guy wide open and then turn around and throw the ball into the stands. And it would not hurt his legacy whatsoever. Whatsoever. Like, what are you playing for? I mean, you're playing for absolutely nothing, man. All for the roar of the crowd. Malik Willis won't run the 40 because they will brand him just a running quarterback. But he's been clocked at 4.3 in the 40. Well, look, I like the fact that he didn't run a 40. And I mean, look, I don't put stock into pro day. I mean, pro day to me, basically a guy's doing what he does best, right? For scouts and reporters and stuff like that. Like he threw a 68-yard pass or something like that on a rollout. Okay, that's pretty cool, but I mean, I guess like that's cool, but man, if you under pressure, somebody gonna sack you. It's kind of hard for you to be able to launch that thing 68 yards. But it was pretty. He throws a pretty deep ball. He has some things that he needs to work on, nonetheless. But I like him. I wish him the best. We're gonna see him probably quite a bit because I feel like he's gonna go to the Carolina Panthers. Tom Brady just came back for the glory in his name. I'm the best. That's all. Yeah, he ain't got nothing to play for. But nobody would admit that. Like seriously. Like y'all look, do y'all remember when Brett Favre retired and came back, right? And I'm not talking about when he like retired, came back, retired, came back. Now I ain't talking about like that. I'm talking about when he retired. And then he decided to come back. How much scrutiny this dude was under. Tom Brady retires for 40 days, comes back, nobody says anything about it. Nobody asks the tough question. Like, why did you come back? Like, what's the point? Like, nobody like criticized him at all the way that they did Brett Favre. Seriously. Like, it's just amazing to me, man. Like how this dude walks through the raindrops and don't get wet. Like, I get it, man. Like he's everybody's favorite guy, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't know. It's funny how they said Teron Armstead like Winston, but he said he's waiting to see what Watson was going to do. But he picked Tua over Jameis. Yeah, I mean, look, Teron probably wanted to change the scenery, right? I mean, this was your opportunity. It's going to be the last time you probably really get a payday. So I don't blame the dude for that. Look, I love New Orleans. That's my hometown. But I get a chance to play in Miami. You know what I'm saying? I can go to Miami and, get myself a nice little house in Florida, take my family out there. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't blame the dude for that. I don't think it had anything to do with Jameis, honestly. I just think that it had a lot to do with the fact that He just wanted to take on a new challenge. That happens, people. Like, seriously. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, going to the same place, the same job, seeing the same folks, doing the same thing, have the same locker, of course, it's going to get a little stale and redundant. And not to mention, the most important thing of all, out of all this, there's no state tax in Florida. None. No state tax at all. So that's what people don't understand. Like, look, Texas, Florida, I want to say California too, there's no state tax. So all that guaranteed money, this man ain't got to pay the state. For real, man. Like, why not? Why not? Much as I like Jameis, I just feel like the Saints don't really trust this guy. Thanks to the messy media. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they don't like the guy. I think they like Jameis, but coaches sometimes when they new, they want their guy. They want the guy that they selected. So that probably has something to do with it. And they feel like, Jameis was a Sean Payton guy. Calvin said no state taxes in Florida. Exactly. Thank you, Calvin. Thank you very much. My point exactly. With nobody. Okay, California got state tax. Okay, it's Florida, Texas, some other state don't have state taxes. But anyway, North Carolina no tax. Well, I need to go to North Carolina. I need to go 3 hours north, man. I need to go 3 hours north, man. If that means they ain't got no state tax, shoot, let me go out there. Y'all Bucks fans talking about we jealous, and y'all wide receiver core, we haven't even mentioned y'all. Just started out of hiding since Tom Brady came out of retirement vacation. Y'all fake fans. Man, I ain't got look. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and that's cool, man. But they still a trash organization. They're still a trash organization. They still got a lot of more winning to do in order for them to be legitimized as a franchise. Okay, look, this is Harold Melvin, and they the Blue Notes, even though the Blue Notes had Teddy Pendergrass. Okay, that's pretty classic guy. Look, they are the Pips, and Tom Brady is Gladys Knight. Okay, they Tom Brady is David Ruffin, and they the Temptations. That's what that is. Nobody checking for real. The light is so bright on Tom Brady, and then you got the background in the dark. That's where they at. Okay, for some apparent reason, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan base feel like they are absolved of suck since Tom Brady has come along. Like as if, like they get some type of compensation or a little add-on or run-on, minutes or something like that because Tom Brady is their quarterback. They don't. They still a bad organization. They still badly run. And it's a matter of time before everybody goes back to and realize that they are. They go as Tom Brady goes. And when Tom Brady goes, they will go. That's just what it is. Like, them boys going to get exposed, man. Me and TJ are not playing when it comes to the nonsense. Ain't nobody thinking about y'all Otis. Ain't nobody coming to see him. Ain't nobody checking for him. Tampa Bay secondary is garbage. Matthew Stafford lit them up like a Christmas tree, and Cooper Kupp was burning them boys in the playoffs. Pretty much. Brady say, ain't nobody coming to see you, Tampa. They not. Tampa Bay versus Drew Orleans was short-lived. Tampa Bay versus Drew Orleans. Well, look. And the Saints own Tom Brady, okay? They do. They just do. This dude has his lowest number statistically. That even goes back to when he was with New England. He has some of his worst numbers statistically when he plays the Saints. Is that a coincidence? No, it is not. Do you think Sean Payton comes back in the next 3 years? I hope so, because we need that trade value. I hope he do. But I'm telling you, man, it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me if the Dolphins load up and Mike McDaniel don't pan out, and Stephen Ross, the owner, decide to let Mike McDaniel go in order to replace him with Sean Payton. Because shouts out to my guy Brian McFadden, BMAC, from the All Things Covered podcast and also on CBS Sports. He said it, man. That was the plan. He straight up, flat out told me last night, man. He said that was the plan. He said the plan was for Sean Payton to go to Miami and for them to be doing the same thing they were doing right now, which would explain maybe why the Dolphins was Teron Armstead's choice. You never know. So Mike McDaniel, you might be on the hottest of hot seats while everybody's looking at Mike McCartney. You might be looking at the other Mike, which is Mike McDaniel, because if he doesn't perform and take the Dolphins to where they need to be, which is deep into the playoffs. I mean, this is like they look, if they don't go to the playoffs or even a Super Bowl, that considered a failure. So look, I need Sean Payton to come back. Come on back, man, so we can get Stephen Ross to give us a couple of those first round picks so we can build our squad. All right. So that's what I want. Yeah. So bring them on. Let them come back. Other team, let's bring them back. Cleveland, they can't pan out. I don't see Sean Payton going to Cleveland. I think Sean Payton would go to a team like in California or Florida or New York or something like that. I can see him possibly going to the Jets. I don't think the Giants, they'll be willing to give up that quick. I see him going somewhere like that. It'd have to be like a big market team. Like it have to be like Philadelphia or something like that, or Washington. Even though I don't want to see him in the NFC, I can see Sean going to the Commanders. I can see him coaching them. It's tough getting good wide receivers. You ain't lying. I hope we can get it a first for Sean Payton. If he don't come back 3 years, he probably gonna retire at 64. Somebody said Dallas. I don't know, man. I don't know if they're gonna be Dallas or not. Avocado juice everywhere. Man, what is up with these spam links up in here? Bro, these wide receivers couldn't catch COVID in a pandemic. Oh, man. He definitely not going to Dallas and being Jerry Jones. Yes, man. That ain't happening. I can see him in a bigger market. I could have seen him in Miami. Could have seen him in Jacksonville. I just hope he go to the AFC. I just hope he go to the AFC, because if he doesn't, that means we're going to have to play them at least every other year. I don't want that. I don't want to play against Sean Payton every other year. I don't. I'd rather go to the AFC where we'll play them every 4 years. And if the Saints and his respective team end up meeting, they'll be in the Super Bowl. That's what I want. That's what I want. I'm going to take a few more and then we're going to get up out of here. I bet if the Saints would have got Watson, they would surround him with good wide receivers. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. I guarantee you they wouldn't be timid about these signings if they got him. I think we'll do a bit better on offense, but I don't see us being good, though, to be honest. Well, I believe the team. I believe in the team. Okay. I'm never going to not give give this team a shot. I'm not going to give up on them. I'm just not. And finally, Jerry says it takes a sniper to pull the trigger unless they're trolls. I guess he took 229 viewers, only 3 likes. Let's do something about it and smash that like button. God, dog. Only have 3 likes? Only 3 people like this episode? Come on, man. I know y'all do your boy like that. There gotta be some help. Seriously. If you like the content, the only thing I ask is you just hit the like button. If you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the show, just go ahead and hit that like button. It only take a few seconds to do that. And I would really appreciate it. Really, really, really would appreciate that. Okay, 109 likes. Okay. All right, I can live with that. I appreciate it. I'm about to say 3 likes. I was say, God, dog. I said, that's terrible. Oh, man. But thank y'all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it, man. I got some guests, man, lined up next week. And I'm gonna say this, man. I'm extremely proud on next week. On next week, man, you would not want to miss the State of the Saints podcast. I will have arguably one of the greatest New Orleans Saints players of all time on my show. Okay. Arguably one of the greatest New Orleans Saints players of all time. I'll tell y'all who it is. Pat Swilling will be on the State of the Saints podcast next week. Had a conversation. I hit him up via text. Pat Swilling will be on the State of the Saints podcast on next week. So you do not want to miss State of the Saints podcast. Definitely going to be talking to him about the New Orleans Saints, the new succession plan they got going. Also, what do you think about the defense, man? So he's going to be talking with us. So I'm very excited about that, man. Definitely one of the greatest New Orleans Saints of all time. Part of the Dome Patrol, a guy that I know in a couple of years or even next year going to hear his name called in the Hall of Fame. So Pat Swilling will be on the State of the Saints podcast. And we're also going to be having a few more guests on the show next week. So keep it locked right here to the State of the Saints podcast for all of the content. All right. Let's see. Dennis, thank you very much for $5. Says really glad to see we kept Winston. Hopeful for us for sure. Thank you, Dennis. And also, Big C, the businessman, thank you very much for $10. Said thank you for the podcast, bro. You always keep it classy. My mock draft, Juan Olave, Logan Hall, Max Mitchell. Let's see, Tyler Elliger, and to compliment Kamara. That's a good list right there, man. Thank you very much for the $10. I mean, they're gonna have to address a lot of these issues, man. They're gonna have to address a lot of these issues. Somebody said, Pat who? I know you lying. I know you lying. You ain't on the State of the Saints podcast and don't know who Pat Swilling is. Ain't no way. Ain't no way you don't know who Pat Swilling is on the State of the Saints podcast. That is arguably one of the greatest New Orleans Saints of all time. He was the 1991 Defensive Player of the Year. Well, he's a 3-time first team All-Pro, 2-time second team All-Pro. Guy has 107 sacks, right? You know what I'm saying? He has more sacks than 7 guys that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame right now. Had 490 tackles. Like, are you kidding me, man? One of the greatest New Orleans Saints of all time. Demario Davis wears number 56. Pat Swilling wore number 56. Come on, man. I hope that was a joke. But thank y'all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Check out the State of the Saints podcast on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Also a part of the Pigskin Podcast Network. Also, I want everybody to follow me on social media, TJ Jones 8. That's TJAY Jones 8. Much love to you. Take care. Have a good morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is